What's going on? I want to make note of this as well. This is Colonel Bradstreet's piece, page 31, Legends of the American Indian Resistance. Look, this is awesome. Despite the protection afforded by Pontiac's belt, Morris ran into trouble at Miami Village. After being ordered to turn back and set off for Detroit, neither Bradstreet nor Bonquet ended up doing much fighting in 1764, but they achieved additional peace arrangements and managed to negotiate the return of several hundred British captains, some of whom had become thoroughly acculturated to their new communities and were reluctant to return to British civilization. There had been no military defeat of the Indians in Ohio region, and Pontiac remained free, still determined to resist the British. What I find interesting here is, like, look, they had these captive guys, and when they were negotiated to be sent home, these guys were reluctant to leave the Indian country, and it's like, I think, it's because these guys probably experienced one of the last stretches in times where the man was free on this continent, and they got a little taste of it. And the British probably recognized that. They're like, whoa, look, it was a real Dances with Wolves type situation, like the movie, but kind of for real. Look, Chief Osceola he's what they would have called a half-breed. Quanah Parker was a half-breed, what they would say that. There's a dude named Curly Hair, who was the chief of the Chippewas, I think maybe of the Pillagers. And he was like, they said he was strange. He didn't look like everyone else. And he might have been a half-breed, but there's been a lot of those. And even, look, when there's mixed chiefs of or mixed warriors from two different tribes, sometimes it actually gives them a quarrelsome disposition, these people. So there's a lot of examples of this stuff in Indian society. And, it's kind of like when the sojourner come with you and he wants to learn your ways, you're not supposed to stop him from it. And the Indians practice that. And once again, it's not necessarily, Indians aren't so much as a race as it's a way of life that's different. Like any man of any ethnic group with whatever skin look like, if he adopted the Indian way, he would in essence become Indian. And that was evident. And yeah, there's a bunch of examples of this, like, really throughout the native culture and history. It was a very adoptive culture, unfortunately. They were prone to fashion and trends as we are now. Like, Indians would all wanted Nikes. They would have went and stole people's horses to go trade it for Nikes and then get blunts and 40s. In a way, it's unfortunate. But the Indian was the first guy subjected to the hood life. Because it says before they met the French, they were totally a virtuous people who you rarely seen any like adultery or debauchery. But after it was introduced to them from the Europeans, their character started to change. It's kind of like, it's like when someone gets turned out. It's like that movie where the bowlers, man, and the one guy's an Amish guy and he's never seen anything, and the other guy's like basically a failure. Then he freaking shows the dude the ghetto life, like that Rick James song's Ghetto Life. And over time it just wears you down, and you're already defeated. And it's the way this whole thing's designed anyway now. But when the people got a real taste of real freedom, they didn't want to go back to the way that they know. And I imagine even now, because people never have seen real freedom, and it's like they tell us that this is the land of liberty, but there's all these hypocrisies, and we're debt slaves, and we're slaves to lies. Because look, there's a lie, and you just cannot let it go. You are a slave to that lie, and that deception controls all of your thoughts and your actions, like a cruel dictator, tyrant, who just, or like an abusive lover who will not let go of the reign of terror, the grip of iron, the grip with cold, bony iron fingers. You know what I'm saying? And the that pimp mind control, that CIA 70s pimp philosophies. It all comes from this type of stuff. It's like even uh, the the first concentration camps were based on the original reservations and the Trail of Tears and all that. Hitler used to read these same texts and just get a hard on, and he wanted to re-implement it in Germany. You know what I mean? It's like, and then they do it there, and then it comes back home. We got all the FEMA camps now, and literally the like Flint feels like a reservation at this point, and I see everyone's on it. They're not just Indians. You know what I'm saying? There's not just drunken Indians. That's the stereotype, and that was a propagated stereotype, just like uh, the the black guys will steal your car or sell you crack. Uh, Even though some of those stereotypes sometimes are true, but look, it more or less it's a mental stronghold weapon, because Indians can bash each other with the same junk that the actual real Nazis use. You know what I'm saying? And once again, and we can bounce it back and forth and around. That's how the Willie Lynch game is played. It's basically pass the buck. You put it on the next guy. It's kind of like that movie Goodfellas, when this guy goes in the store and then he walks out and then he comes back in and he goes, "Look, some niggers just stole my truck." And look, he was in on it, and it was Italian mafia guys that actually stole it. But since they got their gray man cover was better, because America has always been racist, and it's really convenient to blame the N-word or the terrorist or whatever the derogatory boogeyman guy is at the time. It's like in George Orwell, they had the 2-minute hate rally, and they put a guy's picture on the wall, and everyone just projected all their hate at this guy as if he was real. But it was like it was all a sophisticated con game, and it always has been. It's not. It's like this is like a 6-inch grave in in the desert. You're trying to hide this murdered dead body evidence, or this pile, this mass grave in a 6-inch hole, and that's really how easy it is to figure some of this stuff out. And it's just odd that only how few really get it or got the courage to speak on these things that are unpopular. Because if they were so popular, how come this isn't like well-known types of information? And you ain't got to really look that hard to figure it out. I ain't got no special access or resources, like infinite resources and money and time and energy and will to always go do all this stuff, but I'm finding it out. But you do have to put in some effort. I'm saying you got to put in some effort. The more you put in, the more you're going to pull out of it. But if you just keep putting in consistent effort over time, it starts to kick in. It's kind of like a car that, like, your engine only had 3 gears, and all of a sudden now you got 4 gears. Now your acceleration's better and your top speed is a little higher in a way. And the more of this stuff over time you keep doing it, in a way, it's like eventually another gear kicks in, and you can maneuver through at least what you have to look at and go on about history to try to navigate it. even in the scriptures, there's this one scripture that says all the miracles that Christ really did, there was too many of them to even be written in the Bible. So there's more. It reveals to you more happened than we even know about right now at this point in time, because it said all the volumes and all the books and containers in the world could have not contained all the stuff that was actually done. You know, I mean, that's a lot of stuff. So we only got to see through a glass, like darkly, for real. It's like when you got about a couple sips in a beer bottle left in it, and then you hold it up at the light. Well, you can see through it. You can see shining, but look, there's still something. There's like a cover over it that you just can't see all the way in, and you're not really meant to. I think that's the thing, because you got to remember that it keeps you humble. That you can't know it all. It's impossible for me alone to figure it out and solve all the world's problems. But we're not supposed to, anyway. You know what I'm saying? You're not supposed to lean unto thine own understanding. See, one of the first steps of getting out of thy own understanding is to read other people's words. This isn't my own imagination making this up here. It's my opinion of what they're saying. My interpretation can be flawed, but yet the text is still the same. Either I observe the information and stick diligently to the truth with discipline, you're going to come out all right. You know, but if you get lazy and not rightly divide words, I mean, not only you got to do that with scripture, but I got to do that with this too. And in all things that I happen to gaze upon, every thought must be brought into captivity. And you know, it takes practice. It's like to bring every thought into captivity is like a goal I'm working on. But to think, even if you've had the last 1,000 thoughts all brought into captivity, that doesn't mean momentarily from time to time thoughts will get in and overpower your better judgment. And, you know, you just kind of just keep working at it. You know what I mean? And, freaking, you know, I keep sanding it down. Anyway, yeah, I'm gonna keep looking for more nuggets, and, little nugget trails and breadcrumbs.